Hi, this is Christian and welcome back to NFL Updates Express, your weekly dose of NFL news, coming your way Week 9 prediction. It's a Sunday night football matchup in our spotlight game of the week when the Denver Broncos take on the Oakland Raiders. Now the Broncos, well, most people expected them to be good again, and they are. Their defense has carried them throughout the whole season, and their offense is actually better than it was last season, so the Denver Broncos are in good shape, even with Trevor Siemian at the helm. They have two great receivers, Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, and a pretty solid running attack. Even though CJ Anderson may be out for the entire season, they still have rookie Devontae Booker, who's played decent at times, so I think the Broncos will be just fine. But we have the upstart Oakland Raiders with only 2 losses on the season and looking very impressive like the upstart team of 2016 that we expected them to be. And the Raiders, well, with their play, Derek Carr, and then their 2 great receivers as well. They have Michael Crabtree, and also they have Seth Roberts, a 3rd receiver, but of course Amari Cooper is their best receiver, and he looks to have a good game against this tough Broncos secondary. Overall, I think it comes down to the play of the Oakland Raiders defense. We know the Raiders can put up points on offense, but the Denver Broncos defense is one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL. It'll be a tough, low-scoring affair, but I think at home, at the Black Hole, the fans are ready to see the Raiders with a big primetime win, and I think the Raiders upset the Broncos and get the job done at home. Dylan's prediction is the Oakland Raiders. In the next spotlight game of the week, it's the Philadelphia Eagles, and they take on the New York Giants. Now, the Giants are coming off of a bye and should be fresh to take on this Eagles team that has lost a couple of games lately, and I mean, they're still in pretty solid position, but they need to get a big win here against a division rival, which may be useful for tiebreakers if it comes down to that for possible wildcard spot, or even winning the division possibly. The NFC East has 4 quality teams. Every team in that division at least has a 500 or better record, with the Redskins tie their 4-3-1. And I think this is a very crucial game in deciding who makes the playoffs. One of these teams I figure would make the playoffs, and the other will probably be left out in the dust. It is already halfway through the season already, can you believe it? But the Eagles really need a big win here. And the Giants, they're fresh off a bye with their 3 great receivers and Eli Manning, who's been playing pretty decent. He's had a couple of bad games, but for the most part, he's been playing pretty solid and giving the Giants a chance at the postseason. For the keys here, it's both the defenses. The Eagles' defense needs to play big in this one against the 3 giant receivers, and of course Odell Beckham, who's ready to terrorize anyone that runs his way. But overall in this game, I think the Giants off the bye will get the job done. Dylan's prediction is the New York Giants. The next spotlight game of the week is when the Buffalo Bills travel to CenturyLink Field to take on the Seattle Seahawks. Now the Bills, they're 4-4, and well, they're looking to make the playoffs for the first time in the 21st century. And the Bills always seem to be that team that's around 8-8, 9-7, but they just can't quite get to the postseason. As Seahawks, well, they have Super Bowl aspirations, and they've looked mediocre at times this season, and then other times they look like they could win the Super Bowl. They have a great running back in Christine Michael, who's really had a great season so far in replacing Thomas Rawls, who had seemed to be the starter. Russell Wilson has played okay, but the offense just can't really seem to get going consistently with their offensive line in shackles. Their defense, though, is the Seattle Legion of Boom, as we all know, and they've been playing just as good as they've had the past 5 years. But it will be a tough matchup against the Buffalo Bills and their rushing attack. The Bills don't really have healthy receivers right now, as Sammy Watkins and Robert Woods have been injured for a lot of the season, and so the Bills really will need to rely on their rushing game and their defense if they have any hopes of winning in the raucous crowd of Seattle. I think this should be a pretty entertaining game, and the Bills haven't been on Monday Night Football in a few years, and so they'll be really motivated to show that they can be a legit contender in front of a primetime crowd. But I just can't see it happening, and I see the Seattle Seahawks improving to 5-2-1 on the season. Dylan's prediction is the Seattle Seahawks. In the last spotlight game of the week, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers as they travel to M&T Bank Stadium to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Now the Steelers, well, they may get Ben Roethlisberger back this week after suffering an injury, and he's been out the past few weeks, and the Steelers still over a 500 record, so they've been able to stabilize it even without their star quarterback in the fold. They have Le'Veon Bell, who's been playing pretty decently, And of course, D'Angelo Williams, who got his role reduced when Le'Veon came back. And Antonio Brown, well, he hasn't been as explosive as he was last season, but he's still the best receiver in the NFL. And against the Ravens defense, he should be able to find some room to run. For the Ravens, well, they've lost 4 straight games after starting the season 3-0, and this is a huge game for them as they try to make the postseason and win the AFC North division, with the Bengals floundering and the Browns, well, they're winless, so it looks like they're out of it. This is a huge game, and with Joe Flacco not playing his best football, this would be a marquee win against their biggest rival if they want to make the postseason this year. This should be an interesting game, and if Roethlisberger plays, I expect the Steelers to win. But even with Roethlisberger not in the game, I just think the Steelers will find some way to win the game. Dylan's prediction is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The player of the week is Miami Dolphins running back Jay Ajayi. Now, after really being an unknown at the beginning of this season, Arian Foster had taken over, but then after his injury and then recent retirement, Jay Ajayi took over. He's one of the first running backs to have back-to-back 200-yard rushing games. And if he can keep this up and keep the Dolphins' offense on point, then maybe the Dolphins have a chance at the postseason, and you can thank Jay Ajayi for that one. We're already 8 weeks down in the NFL season, and here's how the scores went for Week 8. It was the Titans over the Jaguars on Thursday Night Football, 36-22. The Redskins tie over the Bengals in London, 27-all. It was the Chiefs over the Colts, 30-14. The Raiders in overtime over the Buccaneers, 30-24. The Saints over the Seahawks, 25-20. The Texans over the Lions, 20-13. The Jets over the Browns, 31-28. The Patriots over the Bills, 41-25. The Panthers over the Cardinals, 30-20. The Broncos over the Chargers, 27-19. The Falcons over the Packers, 33-32. The Cowboys in overtime over the Eagles, 29-23. And the Bears upset over the Vikings, 20-10 on Monday Night Football. My prediction record for Week 8 was 7-5-1. Dylan's prediction record was 4-8-1. My prediction record for the entire year is 61-60 and 2 ties. Dylan's is 66-55 and 2 ties. The most entertaining game was Packers versus Falcons, and the upset of the week was Bears over the Vikings.